Hey, what's up guys, it's Stratos, and today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make a bike paint on MX bikes. Just a notice for this video, this will only be for the OEM bike models, so if you use any other model, they will require different templates, so just keep that in mind. But today we're going to be using the OEM bike pack. So yeah, to get started, first thing you want to do is go to mxbikemods.com or mxb-mods.com, and then you're going to go to the bike section, new bikes, OEM, and click this additional downloads, patches, and templates, which is going to bring you to this page. Alright, so you're going to scroll down to the bottom, click downloads. So here is where you're going to find your bike at. So just in this list, find whatever bike you want to do. For this video, I'm going to do the KTM because they actually have like a little trick to do to them that you will need for later on in the video. But anyways, so here's the 2023 KTM. It should have both the PSDs for the 250 and the 450. So I'm going to go ahead and click download, take it to mega.nz. Alright, so in this folder you see there's 2T metals, 4T metals, plastics. So basically 2-stroke is the 2T, 4-stroke is the 4T, and plastics, the plastics are universal to all of them. You just have to remember to change the metals, so just keep that in mind. So go ahead and download this one, and we're also going to download the 4-stroke metals. Now when you look at these files, plastics is going to be your design for the bike, like literally exactly what it sounds like, plastics on a dirt bike. Metals is going to be your exhaust frame, engine parts, your forks, things like that. So not necessarily the design, but the colors and the reflections on it. Now the reflections are handled like in-game through your, I guess your settings in the game. But alright, so I'm back on the MXB mods page. So the next thing you want to do is have this little list right here open in like one of your tabs. So this link will also be in the description, by the way. But this TGA list, you'll understand later on in the video, but basically you have to name the target files a certain name for the program that exports this to the game, basically creates it into a PKZ, or sorry, a .pnt. But it basically gives you the list of names that you have to name them. So like right here, the Fantic 450, you have to name them plastics, norm layers, metals, etc. Not to get too deep into this because we will do this later on, but some bikes have different ones, like the Fantic XX, which is the 2-stroke. You have to name them this, and so on. You can see a lot of the other bikes. A lot of them just use plastics, but there are a few, like the KTM, that uses different names. So like 450 metals, 250 metals, 125 metals. You have to name it what size bike you run. So just keep that in mind. We'll go into it later on in the video. It'll make a lot of sense later, but keep this link right here, which is also in the description. Keep that in the back burner for later on in the video. Alright, so for this video, we're going to be using Photoshop. You can use other programs like GIMP, but yeah, I don't really use GIMP or ever have used it. I've always used Photoshop. So yeah, unfortunately, we're just doing Photoshop. You can pay like, I think, $9 a month for it with a subscription, but yeah, highly recommended to do Photoshop. A lot better features, a lot better organized program. Anyways, so first thing I did was I opened up the plastics PSD that we just downloaded. So you'll see this is just like a top layer. Go ahead and disable that. So this is going to be the design for your bike. So you have your stock KTM plastics. You can see you got some WP forks right here. Fork guard, front plate, front fender, plastic fairings on the side. You got the rear number plates, etc. So sometimes you can go in these and they'll actually have pre-built bikes for you. It doesn't look like this one has it, but I think the Honda actually has like a pre-built like paint design, like the Honda racing team. But so if you look at your folder structure over here, let me move this over. So if you look at your folder structure over here in the bottom right, you have your UV map, which is the lines for the bike. Let me make this red so you guys can kind of see it better. Maybe, yeah. So maybe that wasn't a good idea, but the red lines that you see, basically those are I guess the limits of your paint design. So like if you go right here, you see the red line ends right here. So anything that's on the outside of this red line in this blank space right here is not going to show up on the bike. So the design needs to be inside this red area. But we'll get into that later. I'm going to turn it off for now. Spec map and your norm map is, I think it's to do with maybe shadows and like curvature of the bike or something like that. Not 100% sure, to be honest with you, but we will export those later. You don't have to do anything to them other than turn them off and on, but I'll show you later on. Shading, that's like adding shadows to your bike. Turn them off, on, whatever you want to do. Cutout, basically the cutouts are where your design needs to go, at least the main design needs to go. I don't ever use them. Some people like to use them. Texture, it looks like that's where our, yeah, here we go. You can see here, stock 2023 model. So those are just the OEM, I guess, design for the bike. Oh yeah, here we go. MXGP 2023, factory 2023. So I guess they do come with some pre-made bike paints in there already. So if you want to use this one, yeah, you can just do whatever design you want. If you want to make your own, turn, let's see here. I always start with like a stock one because I like to use the WP forks, but I guess for this video we could turn it off. Some of your parts as well will come with different brands. So like triple clamps, if you want the X-Trig rocks, you just turn the layer on and let's see, there you go. Now you got some X-Trig rock clamps. But pretty much you just have to remember that the layer structure, so whatever's the higher layer is going to show over the bottom layer. So like we got the X-Trig clamps. Let's say I wanted orange clamps. So I'm going to look through this folder until I find basically the background of the clamp. So I'm going to click this. Looks like someone did a color overlay to black on there. So I'm going to turn it off. Now I got orange ones. Now I can do a color overlay to pink if I wanted to, like whatever I wanted. For this, I'm just going to turn it off and go back to the orange ones. Let's see what else we got. Forks. Yeah, you can see there's multiple brands in here. WP Forks, Showa, KYB, Race Tech, and SD Factory. So I'll stick with the WP. And yeah, you can pretty much just go through and do this for most of them. Some of the seats, I believe, have, yeah, some of the seats. So this one's Sella de la Vela, however the heck you say that. Sorry. You can click that on and off. You got the guts logos, moto seat. You can add ribs to your seat. This is the actual texture to the seat, so you want to leave it on, or else it'll just be a solid color and look really weird. So I'm gonna go with a gut seat. But yeah, you can pretty much do that to any of these. Let's see what else we got here. All right, so going into this folder right here, this is where you can actually start to do some of your design. So you can see front fender, front plate, fork guards, shrouds. That's going to be, yeah, your side shrouds right there. So what you can do, this is where you start designing. So let's say you wanted to put a logo or color blue or whatever. So to do that, you can either delete this layer, turn it off, or make a new layer on top of it. It's usually what I like to do because I like to keep the initial design as a reference below. And yeah, you can just color it blue. You can use your magic wand tool, click the shrouds. I did shift click to select multiple areas, and you can, color them in. So now I have blue shrouds. If you want to, this is where you would actually do like your designs. So if you wanted to draw lines or whatever on here, you would create another layer just for the lines, and you can do, I don't know, I'm just going to do like some weird looking line right here. Fill it in white. Why not? Yep. So you draw your design. Whatever it looks like is pretty much how it's going to look in the game. If you want to do some logos, you just got to click, drag them in, size them however you want. You can turn them to where they go with the flow of the plastics pretty much. But the reason why I always do a different design on a different layer is so I can sit here and move it without having to move my other logos. So just a little design tip, I guess you could say. Let's see what else could I put on here. Yeah, we'll use this one. And I'm not spending any time on this. I'll show you a different bike whenever I get done with this that I've done in the past. But just drag in your .png logos, design it however you want. And that's pretty much how you do that. You don't necessarily have to use this folder at all. You can just turn these off and then just start designing right here. So just a little heads up. I mean, you could do whatever you want, I guess. Now is for the part that everyone wants to know, and that's how to do numbers. So for this, I'm going to turn back on the, let's see, we'll do a factory one. Let me turn that, hold on, let me turn this back off. My little design that I did earlier. Okay, so got my design. So everybody wants to know how to do numbers. So pretty much what you're going to do is just go to, you can go to Google, you can go to some of the other plastic designers. There's very few like actual fonts that you can do in the game, unfortunately. So I always just wind up doing this. So just find some crazy font that you like on Google, preferably something like this. Actually, yeah, let's use this one. So we'll open up the image, zoom in as far as you can so you get the biggest picture possible. So don't close out of this one, just go to File, New. It doesn't really care what size you do. We'll go back to Google. And let's do this one right here, Style C. So you're going to do Copy Image and then paste it into Photoshop. I just did Control V. and we're going to take these numbers right here. So I'm going to use the selection tool. Let me drag this over. Sorry. Yeah. So I use the selection tool right here to highlight the numbers that I wanted, and I'm just going to do Control C, Control V to get just these numbers. So my number is 331, so I'm going to select the 3, Control C, Control V, and the 1. If you ever are doing this and it gives you a basically like you're not selecting anything, make sure that you have the right layer selected. So like if I went to cut that and I was on this layer, it would say there's no it's just empty space. So make sure you're selected on the right layer. But got my number. I used 2 3s, so we're going to duplicate this layer, and yeah, pretty much just move the number somewhat close just to get your initial, I guess, design. Use your magic wand tool to delete the backgrounds. I know there's probably faster shortcuts for this, but I've been doing it like this for so long that that's just kind of how I do things now, using the eraser tool. And finally, the number 1. Okay. So now you can get into, I guess, moving your numbers around exactly how you want them. Some people like overlap. Some people like for them to stay spaced. I guess I'll do mine like that. If you wanted to put an outline on them, you can, I'm going to hold down Shift to click these 3 layers, or you can click them individually holding the Control button. I'm going to put them in a folder, and then I'm going to do, you can do a stroke on the outside, change it to red, make it bigger, however you want. You can do that. I'm not for this video, but just to show you, like, if you get something weird like this, where there's like white on the inside, it's because when you did the erase, it didn't erase like all of the number. So let me delete those real quick. Also, when you zoom in really close like this, you can really like fine edge your numbers and make them look really, really good. Pretty much the higher the quality this image is, the better it's going to look on your bike. So just keep that in mind. Alrighty, so now we got our numbers. I'm not going to do the stroke. I just wanted to show you guys that because I know some people like outlines on their numbers for some reason. Last thing I'm going to do is, again, select all of them once I get the design how I want it, and I'm just going to combine it into one layer. We can name it, rename the layer to the number just so you know. And you're going to click, drag it into this tab to bring it back to your bike. So we don't see it right now because it's beneath the shroud, so remember to drag that layer up to the top because you want it to be on top of this layer actually, because this is the initial design layer that comes with the bike. So here's a number. Let's go ahead and resize it. If you want your resize to stay true to scale, make sure you leave that there, this little link button. If you unlink it and you go to drag, you see how it kind of like distorts the number. So keep that in mind. If you need to go back, just Control Z. But not always, but when I do my numbers, I always have that little link button right there so the sizing is correct. And yeah, just put your number in there however you want, make it look good. We'll duplicate the layer and do the numbers on the side. Now I am kind of like rushing through this because I'm trying to make the video just kind of like a basic intro to doing this, I guess you could say. So if you guys ever want anything like more in depth, just leave a comment and I'll try to make a video on it. You can see I have like the little snap layers on, so that's lining up the numbers to where they're, I guess, symmetrical, I guess you could say. We'll go back to our front number plate. So your front number plate, especially on the KTMs, you can see how the numbers are, they're not very tall, but the number plate is very, I guess, tall itself. So sometimes I will do the unlink tool and drag the numbers up just a little bit. So it's still the same font style, but it kind of covers up more of the number plate. So just kind of keep that in mind if you want your numbers to be scaled a little bit better. I'm actually going to shrink this one down just a little bit. Okay, so now you remember we were talking about the UV map. So anything that's on the outside of the red right here, such as the number, all that will not show on anything. Now, be careful when you are designing, because if you do like a, let me do this real quick. So if I did like this, but I only wanted the design to show here, but it bleeds over to these other parts, it will show on them. So just keep that in mind. Let me turn the UV map back off. So we have a, I guess, black number plate for like a 250. I think this is the MXGP one, so that's why it's like that. Actually, no, it's not as factory. I don't know why that's gray, but if you want your number to be white, you just double click, color overlay. You really choose whatever color you want. And you can see, like, whenever I resized it, I actually kind of lost some quality in the numbers. So that's where I was telling you to be careful about when you're like resizing stuff, because the more you resize it, the more pixels it's going to lose and the worse it's going to look. But I'm just doing a quick little video to show you guys what it looks like. You can spend a lot more time on this to make it look better, trust me. But you can see how there's orange on the outside right here around the number plate, and my number spills over. So what you can do is we have to find the gray. So we're going to go back to the design that I wanted, front plate, and looks like this might be it. Nope. Pretty much just got to find, there it is. So back plate. So we'll get our magic wand tool. Now these layers are all linked together, so it's kind of tricky. There's a fill layer. Okay, so yeah, they did it with like fill layers, so it's kind of goofy, I guess. I'm not very experienced with that, to be honest with you. But let's see here. Let's do a new layer. Usually, you want to find the layer that is the, I guess, the background of the number plate. But for this instance, I don't know, I'm not good enough to figure it out. So I'm just going to do this. I'm going to outline this. And make my own layer. Oopsies. I did not want to do a fill layer. I'm going to go back up here to where our numbers are at. Okay, so now I have my own background. And we'll make it, okay, now you can click your magic wand tool here and then do select inverse, go to your eraser tool, go back to your number, and then just delete the outside, and it makes it really clean. Now I can actually delete this layer. You see I got a little bit off just where I hand tooled it, but we'll leave it. Why not? You can fix it. You can just zoom in and fix it, but I'm not going to, just to save time. And yeah, that's pretty much how you add your numbers. All right, so we got our metals PSD open now. This one is, you can see just a lot of curvature. It kind of uses a design to trick the game into thinking that it's actually a texture or light reflecting. So it's just kind of a way to save performance on the game and use less of the game engine to make your bike look good. So you can get same thing back down here to parts. You can choose either it's a 450 or a 250. Not entirely sure what the small differences is, but yeah. So go here. This is where you can change your engine covers, your bar pads. So like it has some built-in bar pads. Renthal V2, regular Renthal, Pro Taper. I'm gonna do Renthal because I'm sponsored by them. Shout out the Renthal. Rear brake system. It's got the stock Brembos. Rear shock. If you want to add a logo on your reservoir, you do it right here. Change your wire color. Silencer. So we're gonna change our pipe to take off the KTM logo. Let's do FMF. Or you can do Akrapovic, Pro Circuit, whatever you want to do. I'm gonna do FMF. And then actually has some other things. So here's the FMF blue and carbon fiber tip. So all that's built into the PSD that comes with OEM bikes. Skid plate, we can get a Cerberus skid plate on the front, whichever one you want. You design it however you want. You can add in logos wherever you want. Make your own exhaust brand, make your own bar pad, you know, you can do whatever you want. This is also where you change your front levers color, I believe. So let's see if I can find that. Oh, you can change your frame color. I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys are kind of starting to get the gist now. So I'm not going to design too much. So blah 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 blah. We're done designing. All right, so you're going to do File, Save a Copy, Targa, and you're doing your metals now. So, all right. So this is the tricky part with the KTM. Most of the other bikes, you just name them metals. Looks like you have to do it for the TM and looks like the Yamaha 2-strokes. But CCM, that's just the engine size. So CCM, so 250F is what we're going to do. So underscore metals. So it's going to be 250F underscore metals Targa. Again, this is the design layer. So when we hit save, we're going to save it as a 24-bit. Hit OK. Turn your norm layer on. Save copy. Targa. 250F underscore metals underscore N, I believe it is. Double check. Yeah. Norm spec plus map. Yeah, underscore N. And hit save. 32-bit. All right, so now we are done with, I guess, doing that. So some of your model swaps will come with like a bar pad, Targa file, if you want to add wheels, things like that. And you basically just do the same exact thing, and you would drag those into your liveries folder or whatever folder you got it saved in. But going back to painted, let's just have it open twice. I'm going to do directory read. And let's see here. I think this is where, yep, this is where I have it saved at. It's just the directory. You don't have to get it exactly to the target files. Hit OK. And you should see your files that we just made in here. So the name here is what it's going to show up as in the game. So if I put I hate Stratos. Oops, misspelled. It's going to say, I hate Stratos in the game. But we don't want that. So we'll name it, I don't know, I think this was 2023 Red Bull Stock 331. I mean, you can name it whatever you want. And then you're going to hit pack. Now, this is the file name, so you're going to actually put it in the correct bike folder for the game to read it. So MX2, KTM 250SX paints. You see I got a bunch of them. So I'm going to try to, actually let me rename it so it goes to the top of the list. Just a little trick that I do on my bike, so my custom ones always go up to the very top. Just put exclamation marks at the start of it. And then yeah, you can honestly name this whatever. But the important thing is when you go to transfer this into like sharing it with your friends, if they don't have this file name the exact same, it's not going to show up in game. And just a hint, when you send these in Discord and you have spaces in the name like this, Discord will automatically add underscores. So you will have two different file names, therefore it won't work. So that's a thing that always happens. So be sure, if you want to have spaces in it, go ahead and put the underscore or put a dash in it. Save everyone the trouble. Because if you add the spaces and you send it in Discord, it's not going to show up in the game. But anyways, we're going to hit save. Now, the game, it's going to take a second. So I always put my cursor up here at the X. You might think the program's frozen, but trust me, it's not. It's just compiling all of your target files. And yeah, you see how the X turned red right there? That means the program is basically unfrozen and is complete. So now we can navigate to our game file. I'll just show you that it's in there. And yeah, there it is, Stratos underscore vid. And that's the file that you would share with everybody. So we're done with that. Close out of all of our instances of painted. And now we can load into the game and see what our paint looks like. All right, so now that we are loaded into the game, let's check out what our bike looks like. So we'll go to the KTM 250, not the Kawasaki. And yeah, while I'm on the topic, while this is loading, you can see all my custom gear and stuff. You do all your helmet paints, rider gear the exact same way. So if you can do a bike, you can very easily do gear and everything else. Yeah, and you can see right here at the very top, added the 2 exclamation marks. And here is our completed bike. It might look a little goofy because I have the model swap in right now, I believe. Nope, actually looks okay. And there we go. Now I got numbers on my bike. Front number plate turned out pretty good. And yeah, that's how I added numbers to my bike. If you have the default, let's see, where's it at? Yeah, bike font. If you have it set to default white or default black, then you'll have these goofy looking default paint numbers over it. So make sure that's set to none. I know some of the newer players, that's something that they always skip over. And yeah, that's how you get your custom design into the game. I would go a lot into detail on actually like designing stuff, but that's kind of for you to learn on Photoshop. It's a very long journey to get proficient at it, but with time you'll learn all the tricks. There's tons and tons and tons of videos on YouTube that will show you how to, draw a line, all the shortcuts, delete backgrounds on logos, things like that. So just keep that in mind. If I went into that, this video would be 10 hours long. So one last thing I'm going to show you is the 3D model viewer. Yeah, so to get the cool screenshots, you want to use Insane's 3D model viewer. Why is it named DMKRTZ? Well, that's his other little coding name that he goes by. But it's Insane. He is the owner of mxbmods.com, so this is safe. But pretty much same thing. Download the program here, and let me open it up really quick. Oopsies. Alright, once it gets done downloading, go ahead and click the 3D viewer application, and it should pull up this right here. You can click with your left mouse and drag. That's just a default Insane 3D model. But we'll go back to our Photoshop, go back to the plastics right here, and you're just going to do File, Save a Copy, and you can name it whatever you want, but save it as a .png file. Now the reason it's a .png is because that's just what this program loads. So you're going to click this blue arrow up here, choose your bike. So we'll go to KTM 250SX, and it automatically has the OEM team's models in here because he is part of the OEM team. So here we go. Here's our bike. And you can see it's full, well, almost full 360 view of the bike. To turn off these little blue markers right here, click this up here and then turn off hotspots. Also turn off shadow if you want. Have cleaner photos. You can mess with your exposure, things like that, just to change your bike, but I'm not going to do any of that. So, going to go back, click this left, go to your Plastics 250, click on Choose File, and then go to wherever you saved your .png file, and just open it. And there you go. There is your bike. Now you might notice the black as the default black frame and everything. So we'll do the same thing with the metals. Save a copy, PNG, metals. Go ahead, save it, and then click on this, and metals, and that'll fix that. And yeah, this is pretty much what your bike is going to actually look like in the game. You can also download whatever rim you want. Those are typically found, I think right here in this, and you just download them PSD, design your wheels, and do the same exact thing you just did with your bike. Usually the designer of the models will tell you what to name the targa when you go to export, so just keep that in mind. But yeah, and that's a very, very, very basic way of designing a bike. And yeah, now you can go into the game and enjoy. Now you can take some really cool screenshots. If you want to take a screenshot, just click right here. It'll put it in your download folder, change your wheels. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I know there's a lot that we covered, and there's a lot of design stuff that you guys have to go learn. So hopefully this covers a lot of it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Go design some awesome bikes, and I'll see you next time. Peace.